Hello everyone, welcome to the first video on the P.E.T playlist. And since it is the first video, I decided to talk about my first ever chess tournament. To give you guys a little backstory, I started playing chess in 2021. You know, my dad and my brother told me, hey, you need to play chess. There's this new show on Netflix, The Queen's Gambit. And this show is actually based on a book by Walter Tevis. It was written in 1983, if I'm not mistaken. And for those who haven't read the book, the story is exactly the same as in the show. And I would think that the show they did a great job with the casting, and also bringing real games to the actual show was very nice. I think they had the help from former world champion Gary Kasparov to help with the games, and that it's amazing. So check it out. But yeah, so my first tournament. So for those who are watching the video, like pretty recently, when I'm uploading this video, currently living in Idaho in the U.S. Um, I'll be moving to a different state toward the end of the year, and so I'm a little bit limited with the amount of tournaments that I can go to here in where I live. So my first tournament was the Idaho Open, the Eastern Idaho Open in Pocatello. Pocatello is about 45 to an hour. I think it's 1 hour away from where I currently live. And I went with a friend, and we decided to just, like give it a shot. Our first tournament. I believe I went there. So right now I'll show you guys my accomplishment so far in terms of rapid rating on chess.com. You will be seeing how I went from, I believe it started like 400 something. So I'll be showing you right now. As you can see, the different ratings and the different dates that I was able to achieve those things. So I believe I was able to get to 2200 in less than 3 years. But when I went to my first tournament, I went with an online strength of about 1700, 17, a little bit above 1700. I wanted to go a little bit prepared. But now thinking about it, if you guys are still debating whether or not you should go to a real tournament, you should. And despite your level, even if you're like, like 700, 900, doesn't matter. Even if you're like 2000, any rating is good, because over the board, in-person tournaments, they feel like a different game. For those who have gone to like real tournaments in person, then you can back me up here, right? It's a little bit different. It's not in front of your screen, in front of your phone, your computer. It's different. It feels different. It feels like a different game. So you should definitely go and start getting some experience from these events. It'll be very helpful, beneficial for you. So yes, okay, the first tournament, the Eastern Idaho Open, I went with my friend. So since I was starting with chess, I knew how to write notation. I went prepared with that, but I made a bunch of mistakes for my notation, so some of the games are not exactly, they're not accurate at all, because I would like start misplacing my notations and like the different other squares that were not there, and then it was very confusing going back to like reading what happened in the actual game. So for round one, of the tournament, for those who don't know, round one, I would call it a filter round. A filter round referring to you're going to be seeing higher seeds, and this refers to higher rated opponents from the event going against the lower rated opponents of the event. And the idea of that is that they want to try to keep all the higher rated players together so they can play against among each other, and the lower rated players would just also play against each other pretty much. And at the end of the rounds, the final round, you would have the top players playing against themselves, pretty much. So that's the idea of like a filter round. So round one, This is my tournament. As you can see, I was going against Niall Mackenzie, 1650 USCF. USCF is the United States Chess Federation rating. The international rating would be the FIDE rating, so it depends. This event is a national event in the USA, so this is accounting for USCF rating. And I don't have any rating next to me because it's my first tournament. I'm going as an unrated person. Okay, so I'm going against one of the stronger players in the event, and my run one, my first ever chess game. So I was definitely nervous. The idea of this game, the notation is wrong everywhere. So I'll give you a general idea. In the opening, it was a Caro-Kann opening, and Niall was playing very aggressive, and at one point he was able to win one of my pawns. So he was a pawn up, and then toward the end of the game, he was heading into an end game, I believe, with a minor piece and a rook for both Niall and myself. And I was able to capture a pawn back at the end. And then I just offered a draw, and he accepted it. So the game ended in a draw because I was able to capture a pawn back. He miscalculated something, and that was just a draw. So run one was nice for me because my first ever chess game, and I was able to draw a higher seed in an event, so that was really good for me. Round number two, I don't remember much of the game, but I remember something like this. This is a position. I was going against a lower rated player compared to the first round, but this is a position where I was white, and I don't know what was going on in my head. So my first time in an in-person tournament, and to be honest, I had to go to the restroom. I needed to go to the restroom, but I never got out of my chair. I just never got up, and I should have, you know. So in this position, white is totally winning, and we can turn on the evaluation bar. We're gonna turn it off because, you know, what I'm gonna tell you next, I mean, you probably won't believe it, right? So the idea of this position is that it's totally winning because we have we all have only one pawn, and we will be able to have opposition. And what is that? I'll be talking about opposition in one of the playlists. I'll be adding another playlist to the channel. I think it'll be called Chess Concepts, because it's not a chess basics thing. It's a little more advanced, and it helps you a lot for end games and knowledge like that. So I'll be adding that playlist. But just to let you know, this position is totally winning for white. You know, if the black pieces were to go up, go here, if you go there, can bring the pawn up, and if the king goes to like f8 here, you have opposition with the king, and then wherever the king goes, you can always just, you know, do like go the other way, and now they are totally lost because you can just promote into a queen, right? So that's the idea of this endgame. You have a position, you have one pawn that is super powerful, but in an in-person tournament, I don't know what was going on. I had to go, as I said, I had to go to the restroom, and then I reached to grab a piece. I didn't know what piece even, to be honest. I was like, oh, I'm totally winning, super confident, and I just go ahead and extend my arm. And then as I'm extending my arm, I'm like blocking everything. I cannot see anything. I don't know what's going on through my head. I was just a little bit nervous, I guess. And I didn't take my time. I had a lot of time left on the clock. So I go ahead and make this move, guys. King e6. I make my move because I thought, oh, I'm winning. And then I start writing my move on the notation sheet. And I hear my opponent say, draw? That's like he was asking me, and I'm like, no. Then I look at the board, and he just goes like this. And I'm like, no, what did I do? Yes, draw. Because there's nothing I can do. Wherever I go with the king, the black king will just capture my pawn back, and that's just a draw. So from a totally winning position, I was not in my element there. At the end of this video, I'll be telling you guys what I learned from each of the games, okay? From each of the rounds. Let's move on to the next one. Round 3. Round 3 was a game where I was going against the Scholastic champion that year. Bryce, and I read about him on the newsletter for the state, and I was nervous. I was intimidated, you know. But what threw me off is that his opening choice was very, very passive, very strange, which threw me off. I am a positional player, and his playstyle threw me off to the point that I thought, wait, what? I have to attack then or something? I didn't have that experience, right? So then I went for some sacrifices for no reason, like this, like bishop takes f2, check, and then he just captures, and I don't even like go with a check with a knight here. I sacrifice my knight as well or something like that. I don't know what was going on in my head, and then I just tried to grab some pawns. He forks my queen and my g7 pawn. I go back, and then you know, I ended things like this with with a nice fork from him. So I don't know what was going in my head. I was playing, I don't know, not something like, not the way that I would normally play, right? I was off my element. Everything threw me off. Mentally, I was not there. I was not prepared, and I wasn't playing like how I normally play. I'm a positional player, and I was playing like I was attacking. I was sacrificing pieces without backup, you know. So that was a disaster of a game, to be honest. Okay, round 5, once against Tilly Backstrom. We with Tilly, actually we became friends there with Tanner, with my friend that I went with, and then with Tilly we all became friends. We started talking, and then we were like, oh, it wouldn't be the best if it would not be the best if we were to be paired and play against each other. And guess what? We got paired and we played against each other, and that was not so nice. So the game, actually, I was able to win the game with the white pieces. The notation was wrong, so I don't have the game really. But it was a game where I was able to give a bunch of checks with my queen and start capturing. I started gaining material by grabbing pawns while checking her king, and I was able to win the game at the end. But yeah, so that was round, let's see, that was round 4, and then my last round, round 5. Round 5 was against very, which he was 1700 back then. So one of like the stronger player, stronger than the first round even. So in this position, I have a pass pawn. If we turn the eval on, I believe I'm winning with that plus 4.6. And maybe like a deeper engine would tell you that it's even higher than that. And it's now, to me, it's obvious. If I were to look for any checks, there are no checks. Any captures, I can try to consider different captures that I have in the position. And actually just capturing the pawn here with the queen is very good, because if I were to grab hit this, something like this, the rook cannot grab the bishop because I would promote the pawn. But then my following ideas would be to just cover the pawn maybe somehow, and then bring my rook to the c8 square and try to just be up a piece and win the endgame or something. So I had different approaches, but I went for some crazy lines that didn't really work much, you know. I went like this, and then I sacrificed my queen, and it was a little bit of a disaster, but he ended in a draw. I don't know what I did. I didn't calculate well. I didn't take my time. So the game ended in a draw against a 1700. So what did I learn from each of the rounds? And I wrote it here. From round 1, and these are key things that you can take some notes about this. Okay? So round 1, even against a higher seed, you have a chance. You just have to keep fighting. Just never give up. So that is a good concept to always think about, you know, because we can think, oh, this guy is super strong, he's way stronger than me. But that doesn't matter, because nobody's perfect and they might make mistakes as well. We just need to build that experience, you know. So by going to more tournaments, we'll start building that experience. But we should never give up. It doesn't matter if he's a title player or a weaker player, you know, quote unquote, because tournaments don't really reflect the rating of a person. Think about it. If we have an online rating, that's a little more accurate than a tournament rating, because not that many people have access to tournaments all the time, right? So like it would be more accurate, like our rating would be more accurate for in-person tournaments if we went to a lot of tournaments all the time. But that's pretty impossible, right? It costs money, you need to travel, you need to have tournaments in your area or things like that, or travel for tournaments. So it's not precise, I guess. Okay. For round two, round two was this game. This game here. For round two, be patient and calculate even easy lines, right? Easy, quote unquote, easy positions. This refers to taking your time even if the game ending is obvious. And think about it, nobody's perfect, we're all human, even title players, super grandmasters, they make mistakes like this. Silly mistakes, maybe not like this, but an equivalent to them. Yeah? So take your time, be patient, and if you have to get up, go to the restroom, you know? Don't try to hold it while you're in a critical position, and just make sure that you are finishing the game strong. And if you have time on the clock, take your time to think even the obvious lines, the obvious moves, okay? Round three. Let me go to round three. Yeah, round three, once against the Scholastic champion. So for round three, stick to your plan and play your own game. You know, I was intimidated by the Scholastic champion, the silly opening that I thought he was doing, and I thought I had to do something and react and be aggressive, and I don't play like that, especially me. If you play like that, that's fine, but I wasn't. I didn't play like that. So just stick to your own game, do your thing, you know. Do your own play your own game. Don't play your opponent's game. Okay, stick to your strengths. Round number four. Let's see. Let's look at here. Round number four was against my friend. So play your best game, even against friends. Respect is shown by giving your best effort to your opponents. If you're not giving your best to your opponents, that's not a sign of respect, you know. It's just, I guess, you're thinking that they're not strong enough, or you're all probably like feeling bad that you're playing against your friend and you don't want them to feel sad. That's not the way to do it. We want to respect our friends. We want to give them our best effort, and you need to hope that they also give you their best game. Okay. And round number five. Take your time, and let me go back to the position that we have here. Take your time and use your checklist constantly. Checks captures attacks, and attacks can also like be thought of threats, any threats. You can get up to have a better look at the position, so that's very important. Sometimes you see at chess tournaments that people get up from their boards, you know, and then start looking at other games, and then they go back, or they grab a water, they grab a coffee or something. So the important thing about that is sometimes that you need a fresh visual of the position. You need to reassess it again. You can go get distracted for a second, or while you're thinking of your position maybe in your head, and then go back and then see it everything again. Maybe you're seeing it with a different perspective. Maybe like some players go, it's probably not the best thing to do, but they get up and they go to their opponent's side and look at the board from their side. You shouldn't do that a lot. Try not to do that much, but at least from the side a little bit, right? No, don't go directly behind your opponent. That would be a little bit awkward for them. But yes, try to reassess your position. Try to get up. If you need to go use the restroom again, you know, go to the restroom and then come back a little bit more calm and relaxed. All right. So I hope these things can help you for your tournament. Hopefully these things can get you motivated to go to your own tournaments and start building that experience. Because at the end of the day, it's all about experience. We need to play a lot of games where our brain will start adopting all these patterns and positions and things like that, and that's how we become stronger players. I hope you enjoy this video. I'll have more of these videos coming up. Okay, have a good day.